Van Arnhem, and I am the co-founder and CCO of SoulKu.
Hi, I'm Allison Blake. I am the other co-founder and the CEO currently.
Okay, so I know what a CEO is. What's a CCO, Elisa?
Chief Creative Officer.
Got it. Okay, awesome. That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about SoulKu and how it got started and sort of the journey.
Do you want to start, Allison, or do you want me to?
I can, yeah. Okay. Elisa and I met in a book club back in 2007, and we immediately became friends. Our kids were close in age, our dogs loved each other, and we found ourselves sitting around campfires and talking about our lives as stay-at-home moms, and also what we thought we wanted to do when our kids grew up and our youngest were going to be entering school full-time. What did that look like? And I have a background in risk management and was in the world of insurance, and Elisa was an actress and working in film and production out in LA for many years. So we knew that at the heart of what we wanted to do was to connect people and inspire people. And we started our business with inspirational cards that could be passed and tracked an infinite number of times. They had a giant QR code on them, which no one was interested in back in 2011, by the way. They're very effective right now at every restaurant, and people are embracing QR codes. We were just ahead of our time. But they had just short messages of inspiration, and the idea was to create anonymous communities of inspiration on our website as these cards were passed and tracked. And it turned out that people would get the card and were so excited by it and inspired by it that they didn't want to pass it on. They kept it in their purse, they put it on their mirror, it was on their dashboard in their car. So unfortunately, that business model did not work out for us. But we just continued on our path, and we made some other inspirational cards. And in 2013, we started attaching a very simple piece of jewelry that focused on the healing properties of the gemstone or the piece of jewelry, and attached them to repurposed inspirational cards. I think we had like 20,000 of them
that we couldn't sell.
Nice.
We cut them and put stickers on them and said, "This is the property of this stone." And Allison and I, neither one of us were jewelers. And we both always loved really simple jewelry that you could put on and just never take off. And so we came up with this idea of putting a gemstone onto a cord because we had no metalsmithing skills or anything like that. So we found a nylon cord and attached it and to the cord, and then attached it to the cards. And miraculously, we put them up online because we had a website with our inspirational cards, and a rep group out of California found them online through, I guess, one of their biggest stores had found us somehow. And they called us and said, "We'd like to represent your line." And Alice and I were like, "What?"
Like, what line?
Yeah. What line?
We have 4 pieces. We have 4 pieces. But yeah, sure.
That's a line. That's a line. Y'all.
We did it.
Yeah, yeah.
We were like, yeah, sure. And Allison and I sat at her kitchen table and doctored the cards and made every single necklace ourselves. And it was actually really an amazing time for us because we talked, the whole time and solved all the world's problems while we made these necklaces together. And eventually we got to the point where we needed help. And so we reached out to someone who had actually was one of our very first vendors who sold our pass and track cards, and asked if she could help us make jewelry, and she did. And then another couple of moms that we knew, they did as well. And before we knew it, we had 10 or 12 moms making the jewelry for us to meet the demand that we had.
So let's talk about that. So you've kept that business model of having moms make a jewelry. Talk about that. Yeah.
It's really been a huge blessing for our business, and our mama makers are the heart and soul of SoulKu, and it just developed organically, but it's so beautiful because these women work from their own home on their own schedules, and they come to our office once a week and pick up all their raw materials and the assignments, and they go home, and when their kids are napping or in school or in the evenings after they've put their kids to bed, they create SoulKu jewelry, and they love it because it is blesses their family financially. We have a lot of single moms that work with us, and they are able to provide for their family, but they're also able to be very present for their children. So whether that's, being able to go on field trips or pick them up from lunch, or if a child is homesick, it could not have been a better business model for us during COVID. When everyone needed to be at home and taking care of their kids and teaching their kids school. It was a really, huge challenging year. And we were so fortunate that we could keep our mamas safe and at home while still working.
Yeah, I guess everybody became a teacher this year. So it was helpful to be able to provide employment to some people who maybe were displaced from a job, or maybe not. Maybe they just got into a situation where they needed it. So it seems like that fits pretty well with your original intent to connect and inspire.
Yeah. And also, to be in service. I think at the heart of our business too is being in service, whether we're connecting people or we're inspiring people through the messages on our cards. Our necklaces, our jewelry is really seen as a gift item. People do buy them for themselves, obviously, but also there's a lot of gift giving that happens. I don't know what the percentage is because we don't know everybody's intention, when they purchase, but very, very frequently we are told about this is a gift experience. And so people really relate to the healing properties of each one of the gemstones. And if their friend is having a difficult time, or their daughter is having a difficult time, or their husband, or anyone who needs support, love, strength, courage, we have a stone for that, basically. And so with that being in service, we're also in service, not only to our customers, but in service to our mamas. So our mama makers, so that they can be at home with their kids. And we try as much as we can to be in service to everybody who works with us, our team in the office, trying to support them in every way that we can, financially, and, giving them a lot of control over their time. And, we've been so fortunate in that as we've moved along, while it wasn't what we thought it was going to be in the beginning, we've always gone back to that, connecting people, inspiring people, being in service. And while we have always returned back to those core values, we've been able to continue to grow the company. And we just feel so blessed and honored to be able to be in service the way that we are and make the living that we make doing it.
Well, service is a great business model. I mean, what is it? If you help enough people get what they want, you'll sort of get what you want, or it all kind of works out that way. So Well, you guys have gotten some nice awards recently. Tell us about that.
Well, we were super excited to be honored and recognized by Inc. 5000. We came in a ranking of 944 for the 5,000 fastest privately owned small businesses in the nation. So it was a huge honor. There were several companies that earned a recognition in that ranking in Asheville. And we are very excited to be standing next to those companies and a part of that explosive growth that's happening really in our entrepreneurial community in Asheville. We have been very fortunate through the years to be supported through a program called Venture Asheville, which falls under the Chamber and the Economic Development Coalition here. So we have benefited from mentorship and just the absolute
Camaraderie.
I'm sorry.
Camaraderie.
Yeah. And have really developed some very wonderful relationships with other women entrepreneurs here in the community, and just, supporting one another, not just with business, but families and life and everything that comes along with being a business owner.
So at this point, or somewhere along the way, you had to move away from being sort of reactive to being proactive with the thoughts about how you wanted to build this business or where you wanted to take it. I mean, you've kept the core values, which is super cool and super important. So how do you make that shift, or how did you make that shift?
Just as far as our growth is concerned.
Right. Yeah.
We were always really, really fortunate in that our growth happened in a way that we could always keep control over it. It was never, we didn't have the Oprah moment yet. But, it's always grown in a really nice way where we've always felt like we have great control over it. It's funny because one of the things that we did with Venture Asheville was we had to do a pitch day, back in the day,
yep.
To a bunch of investors. And when we did that, there were several male investors, I'll say, that came up to us afterwards and said, okay, well, this is a great idea with the stay-at-home moms and stuff, but really, how are you going to actually make this work? Like, how are you really going to scale this? Where are you going to find these stay-at-home moms? And we were like, what? I mean, yeah, we're really easily, we're going to find them really, really easily. So we have just scaled with our mamas. We have a mama manager now. We've had a mama manager for several years who basically runs that side and takes care of all of that, those mamas. And then now we're starting to work with a second mama manager because we have over 30 mamas now who are working for us.
Wow.
And Allison, I don't remember the last number that we had, but how many pieces can we make in a week with our 30 mamas?
We can make over 8,000 pieces a week. So around 34,000 pieces of jewelry a month.
Wow.
Yeah. So we kept adding staff when we needed it, when we saw a gap. Sometimes when we anticipated something coming, we added staff, and then were pleasantly surprised to find that that was exactly what we needed to do. And we really did have 40 more hours for someone else to work. So it's been intuitive, and it's also just been really gentle. The growth has been what we have been able to, wrap our arms around.
Right.
I think too, go ahead.
No, go ahead. So what you
I was going to say, to mention too, that I think has been a really special part of our success is that we call it our staff or our team's zone of genius. And we have a lot of people that have come on board with SoulKu and have been passionate about our company, our values, what we are doing in the world. And so they have come on maybe as a fulfillment person where they pack and ship orders and they process orders. And we quickly have been able to identify that while they're doing a great job at that, actually they have a great, incredible marketing skill. And you could talk to our marketing manager and our production manager and our fulfillment manager, so many of them came in, not necessarily doing the job that they're doing right now, but we've been able to promote from within by identifying, their zone of genius and where they really excel. And it has, it's been a really wonderful way to promote from within our company.
All right. So how have you identified those zones of genius?
Well, a lot of people have come to us where, like, I'll take Megan, our marketing manager, for example. We met with her. I think at the time we had 2 or 3 other employees, maybe Allison, maybe 3 or 4. I'm not sure exactly. And she has a marketing degree, and she was coming from an agency background, but we were looking for someone to run fulfillment for us. And, we put out an ad for that, and she answered the ad, and wonderfully, because Asheville is a hard place to find a job, we would get people like her who have this incredible skill, but were willing to take a job and get in on the ground floor of our company and just believed in what we were doing. So she came in doing fulfillment, and she was doing a little bit of marketing for us on the side. And then we discovered that her husband knows how to run Shopify websites, and she sort of was learning from him as well. And so she started running our website, and then it was like 50-50. She was doing 20 hours of fulfillment and 20 hours of marketing. And then eventually it got to the point where we were like, we just need to hire more fulfillment people and let you, go at this. And we did, and it's been wonderful. And so many times we've just been really, really lucky and had great people come and work for us in a capacity that that's not exactly what they're great at, but they're willing to come in to get into SoulKu to work for us, hopefully eventually in exactly what they want to be doing for us.
Yeah. So you hired for attitudes and values.
Yes.
And then you figured out where they could best fit into what you needed at the time. And then as you grew, you were able to move them into a more suitable or a bigger role or whatever made sense, where they could actually use their skills and their genius, as you say.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's completely awesome. So I know there's been some wins along the way, but there's also been some challenges. So what are a few challenges that you've had to overcome along the way, and how did you do it?
Oh. Challenges.
Yeah. I think for me, I very early on when it was just Elisa and I, and then even when we had a few hires, I was in charge and still oversee our wholesale department. And we're in over 1,400 stores now across the country, and we have a couple of international stores that we would love to go visit in Italy and Thailand. We need to check on their inventory. For sure.
In person.
But that has, that was a very challenging time during the pandemic. And that entire sales channel flatlined. And we were very concerned about our partners, all the owners of these brick and mortar stores, and, what did the future look like for retail? Were they going to survive? How could they pivot during this time? It was definitely something that kept me up at night, and just learning how to navigate something like that as a business owner. And then celebrating, so many stores made it And, there was definitely some loss and some sadness for the ones that didn't, but so many, they're incredibly resilient. And I think it was really empowering and amazing to see them dig in deep and come out of it on the other side. So, but that was a huge challenge.
What did y'all do to help them?
We, prior to the pandemic, we did not allow companies to sell our product online. So we immediately went and put together drop boxes of our imagery, of our product descriptions, tried to do a couple of Zoom calls to anybody that wanted to attend and just talk to them about possibly selling SoulKu online. Many brick and mortar stores did open or start a website. But in addition to that, we did several live FaceTime, opportunities where we would be on the call. They would be inside of their store selling to their customers, and walking around the store and talking about SoulKu. So we would participate in some Instagram and Facebook lives just to try to encourage as much as we could. And then in all of our social media and our email marketing and, all of those outlets that we had to reach out to our customers, just encouraging them how important it is to go and support your local business owners during this time.
So you really lived your values there with the service mentality. I mean, you just said, hey, we got to help these people. Let's be of service. And the best way to do that is help them get online. And that's just gonna pay off, and over many years, I would say. So that's super awesome. Any other that come to mind? That's a great story.
With the pandemic, we shut down the office, at the very beginning and not really knowing what to do. And, when we were all in that state of what are we going to do? How are we going to keep running our business? And we moved the fulfillment center to my living room. And I fulfilled all the orders for SoulKu that went out for like 6 weeks, which was and an incredible time for online sales, because our online sales completely blew up at that point because everyone was ordering online. So it flip-flopped from 85% wholesale and 15% retail. And not just during the pandemic, but up until that point, it had been getting larger and larger and larger as we were working with a digital marketing team. But then when the pandemic happened, it went about 85% retail and 15% wholesale. And so that was, a big challenge. Allison would come over and help me pack orders, and we'd enlist our kids, and, her husband helped us move the entire place to my living room. And, we white knuckled it. And I think the other thing that we really learned was how Allison and I handle crisis. And the two of us handle it in the exact same way, which is to put your head down and work your butt off. And we realized, however, that not everybody reacts to crisis in that way. So it was a big learning lesson for us as far as our staff, our inner office staff was concerned, and how they reacted to it. And, not good or bad, but just very differently. Each one of them reacted very differently. Some of them got really, really busy. Some of them got really, really scared. Some of them, shut down. Some of them blossomed, and so it was really good for Allison and I as leaders in our company to understand that and have compassion for it and empathy for it, and then find a way to be checking in with them on a regular basis, differently than we would be if we were seeing them every single day. And so we established this 15-minute check-in that we try and do with them, with every single person in our company once a month. where it's just the two of us. We get on the phone and we say, what's going on in your life? Tell us where you're at. How's it going? Are you okay? How's the work feeling to you? Are you overwhelmed? Are you underwhelmed? Do you need more work? Do you need less work? Where are you at? And so I think we learned some really hard lessons there as far as leadership goes.
Well, I think nothing shows up what kind of people you have except pressure. And we've been under probably the biggest pressure that any of us have seen
for so long.
Or the biggest uncertainty that we've known for a while. And then of course we're still uncertain, but it's gotten a little more certain. And because people
we're certain of the uncertainty at this point. We can lean into that.
I think that's exactly right. So what's next? What are the plans moving forward for you guys in SoulKu?
We're super excited. I mean, the creative side of us is always wanting to put some new designs and new ideas out into the world. Also wanting to be mindful of what pressures that puts on our staff, because sometimes Elisa and I can come up with some really, fun ideas that sound perfect to us, and then we just throw it at our staff and say, okay, make this happen. So we try to be a little bit mindful of how many new different shapes and stones and different product designs that we're coming up with, but that's always in the works for us. Our product development is one of the most fun things that we do at SoulKu. Definitely 2022, we are hoping to put more focus on international sales. Elisa's been working really hard with our team and making sure that we have met all of the different tax requirements and getting that set up. Shipping internationally is a whole nother ball of wax. So we're really excited, both wholesale and retail, to start growing that business internationally.
Yeah, and getting paid internationally is a whole nother deal as well. So so there's a big long checklist to moving out of the country. It's a lot there. Well, good. So what advice would you have for people that are in business moving forward from there, or maybe people who are thinking about jumping into business?
I mean, I would recommend a partner. I think I know with absolute certainty that, I wouldn't be where I'm at without Allison. And we've been so fortunate in that our personalities mesh so well, but our brains work completely differently. And so all of the pieces that she brings to the table, I am not skilled at in any way, shape, or form, and vice versa. And we really respect each other. So finding a really good partner, because I can't imagine going through all of the ups and downs of business ownership by yourself. I think it would just be so incredibly difficult. And to be flexible. We started out with a pass and track card that spread inspiration, and at the end of the day, we're here selling jewelry, and that was never where we thought we were going to be. And as that's grown and grown and grown, we realize really for us, it's like the jewelry is just kind of a delivery method of this inspiration and of this connection, and it could have been cards. It could have been anything. This is what stuck. So kind of being able to be really flexible around what you want to do. But if it's not working and you really want to have a business, making that the priority, that it's about being in business and living your core values, and how can you continue to evolve so that you're creating something that there is a demand for.
Yeah. So set your goal, but be flexible in how you get there.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. Allison?
Yeah, I would just add to, a lot of times Elisa and I have taken a mindset of cooperation, collaboration, and not competition. And I think that that has served us really well in that we always have an opportunity to learn from other people. We have an opportunity to learn from, other businesses that it's, even if we're sitting in the same store together and, or we're sitting on the same counter right next to them, it is about having respect and learning from someone else that very well may, take a sale away initially from SoulKu. But in the long run, it's just been so valuable for us, I think, as we have constantly focused on, how can we work together? There's enough to go around. There's billions of people on this planet, and there is certainly, we're not about doing any kind of cutthroat business. And I just feel like that has really benefited our company, as well as surrounding ourselves with people that know more than we do, and being really fortunate and leaning into the wisdom of people that have done this either before us or been successful at it in some facet of the business world, and really leaning into people that have that wisdom. I think it's served us well.
Awesome. It brings up one more point though, this partnership thing. A lot of partnerships at some point go south. I want to talk about, I want your take on what are the qualities and what that it takes to have a great partnership.
Respect, for
Right.
sure. Just at really the top of it, respecting what the, skills are of the other person, and honoring that while their day may look very different than your day, they are giving it 100%. Work ethic for sure is
Yeah.
right up there. If you and your partner do not share the same work ethic, I could see that it would be very challenging.
And I think too, Allison and I with each other really try and put our egos aside. I'll spend all day working on a card design and I'll send it over to her and she'll say, I think you should change this, this, and this. And, sometimes it's like, all right. But at the end of the day, it's like, it doesn't really matter that much. If she has her, input to put into it and it matters to her, then it matters to me. And so I know that I don't know everything, and I'm, my skills are not all that. And so kind of there's an egolessness that we both have when dealing with each other, where we just, share. We just share.
Yeah.
I think another big thing that we do too is we make time once a month to connect, just the two of us. We have a very special blessing ceremony type couple
Ritual.
of hours in our office. Yeah, ritual. Thank you. In our office. And it's a time for Elisa and I to come together and remember why we started this business, really what is important. And I think making time as a partnership, whatever that looks like, that you take that time to come together, just the two of you, and really make sure that communication is there, and just the remembering of why this is so special and why you got into business in the first place.
That's an awesome list. And I'm going to just read it back because I think it's super important for people to get this. So first of all, respect, the respect of each other, respect of each other's skills. So actually having different skills and using them as for a partnership. You got to have the same work ethic. Mm-hmm. I call it committing ego side. You got to get your egos out of the way.
Yeah.
And then you got to have that time to connect and communicate with each other, and some rituals that really tie you into why you did this in the first place, and help you to live and continue to live into those values of service and connecting, inspiring, you know, benefiting all these moms and their families and all the people that buy your products, you know, that there's benefit to those because, you know, they brighten people's days and help them, you know, with healing. And it's just, I think it's wonderful. So yeah. Thanks for being on the show. I really appreciate having you. You guys, you're super inspirational to businesses that know you and that are following you. And so I think that's great. I think that's living into your mission. So I'm super proud to know you and super proud of what you've accomplished. So I appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you so much, Bill. It was our honor. It was so awesome.